The objective for today is I can solve subtraction problems without regrouping using the algorithm and comparing it to base 10 blocks and branching. So we're going to use two of the strategies that we've already learned and compare that to the algorithm. We're going to start with two problems where you can just watch me solve them. And then for the last two, I'm going to have you join in. So this first one, I'm going to solve 77 minus 15. And first, I'm going to use the base 10 blocks, the way that we're familiar with. And then next, I'm going to solve it with the algorithm. So remember, our first step when we are using base 10 blocks is to build our minuend. So we are going to build 77. So first, think, how many hundreds are in 77? 0. How many tens are in 77? 7. I also have 7 ones in the number 77. So remember, with base 10 blocks, my tens are just straight lines and my ones are little circles. All right, so the first step of building my minuend is done. Now my second step is to take away my subtrahend. Point to which number is my subtrahend. My subtrahend is 15. So first I need to take away 15 is my subtrahend. So first I need to take away my ones. How many ones would I need to take away? I need to take away 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, how many ones do I have left? I have 2 ones left. 1, 2. Now let's take away our tens. How many tens are in the number 15? I have 1 10, so let's take away 1 10. Now let's count how many tens are left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tens left, which has a value of 60. So when I put these two together, I got an answer of 62. Now let's try it with the algorithm. With the algorithm, I need to line our problem up vertically. And remember, I like to turn my paper sideways so that I have a column for each of my place values. So here are my ones nice and lined up, and here are my tens nice and lined up. So same thing we did with base 10 blocks. We are first going to take away our ones. So we're going to pretend like the tens aren't even here, and we're just going to solve the subtraction problem 7 minus 5. So 7 minus 5 equals 2. And I can just write that in that same column in my ones column. Next, I'm going to subtract my tens. So now I get to ignore my ones and just focus on my tens. I have 7 tens minus 1 10. 7 minus 1 equals 6. And I can write that in my tens column. And I write it right next to my 2 because with algorithm, I just write them going across instead of stacking them down. We don't do the stacking down with subtraction. So if I look at both of my answers, my differences, with the algorithm I got 62. With base 10 blocks I get 62. So I know my answer is correct. So 77 minus 15 equals 62. All right, let's do one more with you watching me. This time I'm going to compare branching with the algorithm. So with branching, my first step is to still build the minuend. Point to the minuend on the screen. All right, hopefully you pointed to 156. How many hundreds are in 156? 1. How many tens are in 156? 5. How many ones are in 156? 6. So 156. Remember, it's just like writing it in expanded form. Now I'm going to take away my subtrahend, 35. So let's start in our ones place. My 5 is in the ones place, so I'm going to put that in my ones place also. And remember, we turned it into a subtraction problem. So we have 6 minus 5. What is 6 minus 5? 1. Next, I'm going to take away my tens. How many tens do I need to take away? I need to take away 3 tens, which is the value of 30. So my subtraction problem is 50 minus 30. What is 50 minus 30? Remember, you can think 5 minus 3 because they're in the tens, so it should be 20. All right, finally, how many hundreds do I have to take away? I don't have any hundreds in this number, do I? So I can just subtract 0. 100 minus 0 is 100. So with branching, I got the answer of 121. Now let's try it over here with the algorithm. I'm going to write my problem vertically. Here's my ones. Here's my tens. Here's my hundreds. So notice how the number 35 doesn't have any hundreds, so I need to make sure that there's nothing there. If you wanted to, you could write a 0 in there if that helps you keep everything more lined up. All right, now let's start in our ones. We have 6 minus 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. Next, let's look at our tens. Now I'm only looking at my tens column, and I'm just doing 5 minus 3. What's 5 minus 3? 2. And finally, let's look at my hundreds. I have 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. Let's double check our answers. With branching, I got 121. With algorithm, I got 121. So I know I got those problems correct. All right, now it's your turn to do a couple with me. So the first one, we're going to compare the base 10 blocks with the algorithm. So on your paper, go ahead and draw out your HGO chart. Let's solve it that way first. And then we'll solve it with the algorithm. So with base 10 blocks, we are going to start with the number 682, which we are going to build. So remember, hundreds are our squares, tens are the straight lines, and ones are the little dots. So go ahead and build the number 682. You should have 6 hundreds, 8 tens, 2 ones. Now let's take away our subtrahend, 81. Go ahead and take away your ones. Think about how many you would need to take away. And then write how many you have left down below. Hopefully you took away 1, and that means you're left with 1. Now let's take away our tens. Go ahead and take however many tens away that we need to. Okay, you should have taken away 8 tens, which means you have 0 tens left. Now let's take away our hundreds and write how many you'll have left. Hopefully you didn't take away any hundreds and you were left with 600. And so your answer over here was 601. Now let's set up the algorithm. Remember, I like to turn my paper sideways. So you're going to start with the bigger number on top, 682. And then underneath that, you're going to subtract out 81. Make sure the 1 is in the ones place right underneath the 2. And the 8 is in the tens place right underneath the 8. And then your hundreds place is blank. And remember, if it helps, you can draw a 0 in there. Let's start by subtracting my ones. Go ahead and write your answer down here for your ones. Did you write 1? Now let's take away our tens. We have 8 minus 8. Write your answer. Hopefully you wrote 0. And finally, let's take away our hundreds. We have 6 minus 0, right? So 6 minus 0 is 6. Let's double check. Over here, I got 601. Over here, I got 601. Awesome job. We got both of those correct. All right, our last one. We are going to compare branching and algorithm. So we are going to do 836 minus 422. If you're ready to try this on your own, go ahead and pause the video and solve both of these problems, and then come back when you're ready to check your answers with me. If you need a little extra help, go ahead and keep watching with me, and you can solve it as we go. So remember, for branching, we're going to set up 836, just like we're writing in an expanded form. So it would be 836. And then underneath, we're going to create little subtraction problems with our minuend. So we're going to start with our ones, and first we're going to take away 2 ones. 6 minus 2 equals 4. Next, let's take away our tens. So we're going to take away 20. 30 minus 20 equals 10. And finally, we're going to take away our hundreds. We're going to take away 4 hundreds. 800 minus 400 equals 400. Now let's move over to algorithm. We have our problem nice and lined up with our ones, our tens, and our hundreds. Now let's start in our ones. We have 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 equals 4. Next, we have our tens. We have 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2 equals 1. And last, we have our hundreds. We have 8 minus 4. 8 minus 4 equals 4. So with branching, we got the difference of 414. With algorithm, we got the answer of 414. Awesome work today. Today, for your independent practice, you are going to play the bump game using subtraction. So you've played this before, and what you need is you need this game board, and then you also need 2 dice and a set of 10 counters. So if you have like cubes or something like that, or maybe Legos of different colors, that would work. One person gets one color Lego, the other person gets the other. You could also use cereal, or even coins, like one person is pennies and one person is dimes. So then what you'll do is you'll roll both dice and you'll subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. So for example, if I roll a 3 and a 1, my subtraction problem would be 3 minus 1, which equals 2. And then I'd get to put my piece on the 2. Then it would be the other person's turn. And you keep playing, and you can bump somebody off of the number unless they have 2 there. So for example, if I got another problem that would equal 2, I could put 2 of my counters on there, and then that like locks that space so the other player can't steal it from me. After you've used all 10 of your counters, you see who has the most on the board, and that person is the winner.